What's up, nerds? Back with another video, another deck profile video, another deck from the format that I carry around called I Wish This Deck Was Good. And some of the decks are actually kind of a little bit good, and this is one of those decks, or at least it was good in the era that it came out. Now it's now in this era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where everyone's got 6 cards on the board. You only need 1 card to do anything. It's maybe not as good, but in the era of Yu-Gi-Oh! That this deck was in, this was a pretty frickin' busted deck. And this deck is, we're gonna go over Noble Knights, because I love this deck. There's, Noble Knights was also another big deck. I just liked the pure Noble Knight deck, no Inferno Noble Knight stuff. I have always been a big equip card guy, and so when a deck that could use equip cards came out, I was like, hell yeah, brother, let's get in there. And I think it's overall a pretty balanced deck. I mean, yeah, it's got some OP stuff. This is one of the few decks that actually does have hand traps, but I think the hand traps fit pretty well into it. And it's not like a hand trap like a Effect Veil or Negate, an Imperm, a Maxi, anything like that. It's just a... I mean, I could tell you now before I show you. The deck plays honest, so it's not going to stop anybody from setting up a board or popping off. But when, like I talked about in the other Machina Track Infinishina deck profile, or if this is coming out first, then that's the next deck profile. But like I said in that one, we are just 2 mountain goats slamming our heads together, all right? I'm not trying to stop you from setting up your board. You're not trying to stop me from setting up our board. We're just making shit, putting it on the board and slamming our heads together and seeing what deck comes out on top. And this deck has a whole lot of fun things that it can do. And yeah, it's like got a bunch of different board pieces, but it doesn't really like establish like a crazy board or not anything that I don't think is too insane. I like it a lot because, it sets up, like, some of these cards are fun and, like, pretty crazy, but you have to actually, like, interact with your opponent for stuff to happen. It's not like, it's not as solitary, not solitary confinement, but it's not as just sit here and play by yourself as some of the other decks, although it is definitely in this, like, crazy, insane format that I've got where there's no hand traps. Everything is just trying to make these decks as crazy as possible. It is definitely a little bit towards the higher tier, definitely a bit more consistent. But let's get into it first, and then we'll talk about those consistencies. All right, so this is the Noble Knight deck list. It's 41 cards. If you really wanted to cut something, you could probably cut a full house. You could probably cut a Rhoda, probably, even though I like Rhoda, but they've already got their own Rhoda. So, essentially, you've got... So, this guy, Murdell, summons from the deck, Kusultin, Special Summon Extender, Noble Knight Brothers is a little bit of draw power, puts all of your guys on board. You've got one of each of the random Noble Knights. I think Yvonne's probably one of the best ones, but each one of these guys has their own little benefit. So, it gives you a little bit of an extender with Murdo for, to get rid of back row, to beat over something, to blow something up, return something to the hand, whatever the case is. But it gives you options for playstyle. 3 honest because you've got light. This guy turns into a dark, but he's a light if he doesn't have an equip spell. Light, dark. And then Merlin is a pretty crazy card. He's got 3 different effects. All of them are broken. He's got quick effects that activate from the grave. All of them are just to get more Noble Knights, get more Noble Knight arms to go into one of your exceeds, because the deck the real stars of the deck are one of your 3 kings that you've got up here. And so for the equip spell cards, we've got Excalibur, which has some reborn effects. We've got Destiny, which has some more extender effects. And then we've got some spell trap removal, some monster removal. And then this guy, Afratigir. This guy is a set card, destroys a set card. But it's essentially some of these guys, like some of these effects are really good. Like, don't get me wrong, the equip spell effects are really good, but what really makes them insane is when they're equipped to the big XCs guys, because all of these equip spells, this whole deck, the entire point of this deck is recursion. All of these equip spells equip themselves back to a Noble Knight that's on the board. These kings up here, almost all of them, when they die, they get back Noble Knights and then equip those equip spells to them. And we're not going to forget about Isode, who is just absolutely, she's a foolish burial for as many Noble Knight arm cards as you want, and she only needs 2 guys to come out, which that's one of the reasons why Yvonne's so good, because you can summon this one, summon or equip her with a spell, get a token, and then immediately from her go into this, start dumping, foolish burialing your equipped spells, and then from there go into one of your kings. You've got a Rhoda, like an actual reinforcement in the army, but then Rhoda for Noble Knights that's on crack, because it's not the turn that you use it, but it's got a graveyard effect, so you can banish it from the graveyard to get stuff back. You've got a couple traps in here, but they're not really like actually traps. Like this guy just becomes a normal another warrior monster. Full House destroys spells and traps, which is I like it in this deck because you can get effects off when these guys are popped while they're attached to stuff, and then reattach them to guys as you want. And then until the Noble Knights are armed again, this is another draw power card. It's kind of hilarious because you're almost always going to have 3 Noble Knight equipped stuff. So this guy, you excavate 3 cards, you get to add 1 to your hand and then put the other 2 back. So it's back on top of your deck. So it's kind of hilarious. We play the 1 Blackluster Soldier because, again, we've got all these darks and lights, so it works out pretty well. And so that's the main deck. It's very much, you get either you get 2 monsters to go to Isode. You've got some, let's say they've got back row, it's a little bit slower of a game. You can grind out with some of your more specific effects, try to beat over monsters because your equipped spells, a lot of them do give you attack bonuses, or some sort of way to get rid of monsters on the field or clear the field a little bit before you get into your big guys. But the big stars here are Custleton, Sacred Noble Knight King Custleton, Atrogius, King of the Noble Knights, and Sacred Noble Knight, or Noble Knight of King Atrogius. So this guy's level 4, this guy's level 4, this guy's level 5. And so the level 4 guy, he's returns things to the hand, which is nice because it gets around destroying effects. This guy, you can equip Noble Knight, 3 Noble Knight spell cards with different names to this guy, and you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card, destroy any number of spell or trap cards according to the number of equipped spells you control, which is, again, usually at minimum 3. I mean, kind of insane. And then this guy, Sacred Noble Knight King of Atrogius. With this card's XYZ summon, target up to 3 Noble Knights, equip spells with your graveyard, equip them to this card. Once per turn, you can attach 1 material from this card, then target 1 other monster on the field, destroy that target. If this card is sent in the field to the graveyard, you can target 1 level 4 or higher Noble Knight monster in your graveyard, special summon the target. And so something that's important with these guys, again, is they can recycle themselves. They're not going to have, obviously, materials on them, but there are ways to attach these spell cards to these guys as material, and it's just like you can also obviously link them off as well. I really do love this deck. There's a whole bunch of like, I mean, there's so many like random things. Like, so Bujingi Tsukiyomi, hilarious card in the extra deck. You've got Tyrus and Friezadron. Like, level 5s are actually kind of hilarious. If you're linked to Warriors, or I'm sorry, block to Warriors, you can't do them, obviously, except for this guy, Starliege Paladynamo. 2 level 4 monsters. Once per turn, you can attach 2 XYZ materials from this card. Then target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change its attack to 0, and if you do, it has its effects negated. Kind of hilarious. And then, if this card you control is destroyed by opponent's card, either by a battle or card effect, and sent to the graveyard, draw a card. So it's kind of hilarious. It gets around stuff because you're not destroying stuff. You're just reducing its attack to 0 and negating its effect. Just beat over it, and if it dies, you get a card back. Kind of hilarious. This deck is pretty crazy consistent between either making Isolde to bridge the gap if you have Murdo, if you draw any Noble Knight cards, or Noble Knight equipped spells, it's really hilarious. I mean, this guy is a crazy extender, but you get to draw a card at the end. I mean, it's just it's really crazy how consistent it is. It doesn't matter. I think the ratio is perfect of 2-2-2-2-1 because it gives you a guarantee that you're going to get at least one sort of Noble Knight card, but it's infrequent enough that you'll still have targets to send to the grave, either with Isodal or you've got Heritage, which gets you either a Noble Arms or a Noble Knight. And then again, you can do 3 Noble Knight cards or Noble Arms cards of different names for all of these guys. So you want to make sure you have variation. And I just, I love this card. Oh, and I forgot to talk about last chapter of the Noble Knights. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can target 1 Noble Arms equipped spell in your graveyard and 1 appropriate Noble Knight monster in your graveyard. Special summon that monster, and if you do, equip that spell card to that appropriate monster. So it's like, okay, let's say your board gets wiped or whatever, you just bada bing, bada boom. Get yourself back. Like if you have an Yvonne in your graveyard, it's like, oh, summon this one, equip it with something, get a token, make Isode send. Like it's kind of, there's a lot of like really hilarious support in this, and it's obviously not good in current format because only having one guy on board is nowhere near going against an entire board of cards. But for a format like this and just slamming your heads together and playing like crazy OP decks and just trying to have fun with the game, I love this deck. I think it's super fun, ton of variation, ton of consistency, and that's it for the deck profile. Smoke grass, eat ass, be excellent to each other, and I will see you in the next video. Deuces!
Like the vid, leave a word, drop a comment, get absurd, subscribe if you had some fun. We drop back.